Welcome to part 2, your relationship with yourself and others. And in this session, we're going to talk about your relationship not only with yourself, but how you develop that relationship with others, those around you, your marriage, your family, your coworkers, etc. And how you take care of yourself in the process.
If you think about relationships, what we're doing here is we're taking you almost like building blocks where we're going to take one layer at a time. So for the last session, we talked a little bit about the importance of relationships, the necessities, why they're important, and culturally how we've shifted away from them through social media and different things. Really what we're doing is we're going back to God's original design when He put Adam and Eve together. That is the first relationship that we see in the Bible, and that's what we're going back to, and we're patterning our relationships around that. So today we're going to talk a little bit about relationship with yourself and the relationship with others. And I know it's a unique way of thinking. When you say relationship with myself, like you get relationship with others, but what about myself? And I want to start to challenge you to begin to recognize that you have relationships with everything around you. Mm-hmm. You have a relationship with money. You have a relationship with you. You have a relationship with time. You have a relationship with your husband. You have a relationship with your kids. You have relationships with everything around you. And when you don't understand that that's a relationship and you don't look through the perspective, is it healthy or could I use some changing in that area? Then you begin to learn and grow when you begin to see that it's a relationship. So your relationship with others is going to have a foundation of the relationship you have with yourself. The relationship you have with you is the key and what that is rooted in. A lot of the relationships that we have with ourselves, if we even have one, which you do, but you probably didn't realize that before, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, is probably whatever you were raised with thinking when you were a kid. Okay? So the way your parents raised you when you were a kid has a lot to do with the relationship you have with you right now. Unless you've gone through coaching, you've gone through training, and different things to begin to change it, which you very well might have, and we're going to just continue to build upon that. And if not, this is a whole new way of thinking. I had no idea about this until I learned. The relationship I had with myself was very unhealthy. You can even see it in my teen years. I did not treat my body with respect. I did not treat it with integrity. I actually did the exact opposite and just flaunted my body and didn't care, okay? I didn't realize I had a relationship with me, okay? Your relationship that you have with you is going to be the foundation of the relationships you have with everyone else around you, okay? Now, I'm not talking about in a prideful, arrogant way, okay? We're going to actually lay the foundation of honor. We're going to talk about what honor really is, okay? So honor is when you regard something with respect. You set it in a place of honor, okay? Honor has been used to describe men and women of great achievement. So we might see, somebody in, the president, or somebody who's like way up, or whatever you want to call it, somebody's great achievement. So we will honor and respect them, okay? Maybe when you were younger, don't know if you were taught to honor your parents. The Bible talks a lot about honoring our parents. So honoring somebody in great achievement, okay? And you can take that same concept, respect and honor, to the body.
Yeah. So it's programming, our childhood and our life experience and all these things. These are different kinds of input that as we grow, we take these inputs in and they begin to shape and mold how we see ourselves. And so that's what we're talking about. Your relationship with yourself is, how do I see myself? Do I see myself as somebody who's worthy of other people's time and other people's attention? Do I see myself as not being worthy? Do I see myself as maybe I don't think I'm smart, or I don't think I should have certain things, or maybe I don't deserve certain things, or you just have this very negative self-view because it can go back to your childhood. Or different experiences, not just your childhood exclusively, but just different life experiences can send you these messages, and that's how we build our self-worth, by the messages that we receive. So what we allow in is also very, very important, because that shapes who we are.
Yeah. So maybe not even necessarily your childhood, but maybe you've had failures in business. Maybe you've had failures in different things you've set out to do, and you didn't accomplish what you wanted to do. And so unknowingly you begin to think upon like, well, maybe I can't do this, I'm not good enough. You begin that self-doubt talk, okay? That's going to shift you into a place of where you're really beginning to question the gift God designed and created you and planted you here is all for a purpose. And when you begin to doubt it and you begin to, it's like telling God, I don't know what you were thinking. You know, and he's got a plan for you. And sometimes we have to just step back and know all things work together for good. And I'm where I'm supposed to be for this moment for a reason, even though I don't quite understand it. But all of this can actually play a role with your relationships, because if you are at a place where you don't believe in yourself and you don't feel good about yourself, how are you going to help somebody else feel good about themselves? It's like when you're on the airplane and they tell you, put your mask on, like before you help somebody else put their mask on. You know, if the plane is crashing, they give you that nice talk, like get your mask on your face. You have to help you before you can help somebody else. And that's what we're laying for the foundation of relationships. This relationship with you is like getting that gas mask on, okay? So beginning to recognize what your thoughts are, like Luther said, is the input you're bringing in. Begin to catch those things. If you're beginning to let your mind go into a place of, I can't do this, what are people going to think? Catching that and reshifting your mind, knowing you were knitted together in your mother's womb for a purpose. You were chosen to be here in this time, the year of 2020. God didn't put you back in 1950. He didn't put you back in, 1800s. He chose you for this hour. Why? Why did God put you here? You have people around your life that we don't know, and you have influence into their life that we don't have. We have influence into lives you don't have, okay? And so we work as a team. We all have influence into people's lives for a purpose and for a reason, because we're all here to make a difference. But if you don't have that relationship with yourself and it's not healthy and you don't believe that you're here for a purpose, and you have been dishonoring your body, disrespecting your mind, your flesh, your body, like I talked about, like when I was a youth and I just didn't care about my body and I did complete opposite of honor. If you're disregarding and disrespecting, then these relationships and the purpose God put you here isn't going to be able to come through and come out of you, okay? And our goal for you is that what you're here to do and the voice that you're here to, the words you have to say and the voice that you have on this earth comes out of you and doesn't just end up in another headstone. Too many graves, too many headstones, when people have had songs in their heart to sing, songs to write, books to write, messages to say, and they don't get it out because they don't believe they have something to say. They don't believe they're here for a reason, but we want to challenge you in that, and that you are here for a reason. That is the foundation to every relationship. That is the foundation. The second part is relationship with others. Will you tell us about in Mark? So in Mark, Jesus was asked a question. Luther's going to fill us in with what the disciples were asking.
So the disciples, you have to read the whole chapter, but the disciples, they had this whole debate going on, and they're debating on all these theological points on, what happens, when a couple husbands die and, they're all married to the same lady and she dies, whose wife is she in heaven, and all this kind of stuff. And they're having these discussions, these debates. And then one of the, I think it was a Sadducee, I think that's correct. Anyway, one of these religious leaders comes up to Jesus and says, okay, tell us what is the greatest law, because we've been debating about all these other things. And then, in their mind, there was over 600 and some odd other laws that they had added to the scriptures. And some were kind of weighted. Some were heavy, some were light. What's Jesus, what's the most important commandment?
Yeah.
So Jesus broke it down for him. And he says the most important one is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind, and with all your strength. And then here's the key. The second one, because there was two, the second one is love your neighbor as yourself. He says there is no commandment greater than these.
And we want to take you to where it says as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Obviously, the first step is to love the Lord your God with all of your heart, your soul, and your mind. If you don't, this relationship you have with him is key. That's priority. Okay, so that is working on that, growing strong in that. The next one is to love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, in a day we are in a culture where we see people taking other people's lives. We see gossip, we see backslandering, we're seeing all kinds of things, people judging other people, criticizing and condemning. That's anything but love and honor. That's complete opposite of what God, and this is a commandment. Like it said, there is no other greater commandment than these. Yeah. Okay, when all is said and done, this is the greatest. Okay, and so love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, so that brings us back to number one when we said relationship with yourself. You can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're thinking about committing suicide, if those thoughts have been going through your head, it makes you wonder, do I truly love and value myself as a gift? Do I see that I'm truly a gift? Okay, because if you see that you're a gift, you understand the value of what you have. If you have a diamond, who's going to take gold or a diamond and just go throw it in a lake and forget about it and say, oh, that's a piece of trash? If you see yourself as gold, as you see yourself as a diamond, the way you were knitted together, you're not going to question, should I even be here alive? Mm-hmm. Is my life for a purpose? You're going to understand the value of what you have. When you understand your life is that valuable, you understand the lives around you and that there's gold and diamonds inside of every one of them as well. Okay, but you got to create healthy relationships to dig out that gold, to come to that place of where you can pull value outside of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about in the last session about creating that safe place to where you can be transparent and others can be transparent with you and open. And I like the analogy of the gold and the diamonds. These things are in each and every one of us. We have hidden treasure in each and every one of us. Yeah. But nobody's going to show you their treasure if they don't feel safe. Yeah. Right? You wouldn't. I mean, if you had a safe full of jewels, you wouldn't just show it to anybody that came around. True. You would only show it to people that you trusted, that you felt safe and secure with, that you knew weren't going to just take what you had and for their own gain and with all disregard to you.
So our question to you is, when you are at the water container, is that what they call it at work?
The water cooler.
Or the water cooler, whatever.
Nobody even has that anymore.
But when you're on break at work or you're with your coworkers and you hear other people gossiping, you hear other people talking about other people, not honoring them, not respecting them, what do you do in those moments? Do you walk away? I mean, do you even step up and say, wait a minute, this really isn't right? What do you do in those moments? That is the key to building relationships. Sometimes when you're in this place of building relationships, we might think that I need to give people whatever they want to earn their favor. No, we are not going to go there. That is actually the opposite. Honor and love sometimes can come very direct and sometimes when I correct my children, I'm not catering to them. I'm teaching them to honor and to respect, and that comes with boundaries. And boundaries, that's a whole nother lesson we can do is on boundaries. Setting healthy boundaries is key, starting with your relationship to yourself. If you don't have boundaries around your life when it comes to food and nutrition, you need to begin to practice that skill of building boundaries. If you've not had a boundary of saying yes and no is an important boundary, saying no to certain things, that's a boundary to put in place. You don't need to say yes to everyone. You don't need to do what everyone wants to do. It's very healthy to actually say no and to have a healthy no practice, okay? So we're not saying you got to earn people's favor by catering to them. That is not actually what respect and honor is. Honor and respect is healthy boundaries, treating people the way you want to be treated. So if you don't want people backstabbing and gossiping around you, I would suggest that you politely disconnect yourself from that conversation and walk away. Unless, you feel in your heart you need to say something, then say something. If not, just excuse yourself from a conversation. Yeah. Don't engage in certain things that you don't want people doing to you because, if you think about it, you're planting a seed through your actions. And what you plant in a seed is always going to bring a harvest back to you. So does that seed you're planting, do you want to harvest that back? If not, excuse yourself. But having a healthy boundaries is part of having good relationships. You're not there for people to walk all over you, and that is okay. To have that healthy play. You got anything?
Yeah. So here's a tool. One of the many tools that we'll give you. Find somebody that and look at the gifts and the talents and just find one thing that you really admire or appreciate about them, and take that information and share that with somebody else. It's called edification. you are edifying them to someone else. You are building them up, building that small little portion of them, you're building that up into the mind of somebody else. So that makes them look better.
Like this man, and he is an amazing father. I don't know if you guys know this, but he truly is a good father. And this has been a struggle for him that he shared with me when we were dating, was about being a father. And God has worked tremendously through him. Okay? And I love to share this with people because I know the hard road that he has walked to get to where he is right now. And that is true edification. When you find the gifts and the value of people, of how hard they've had to walk, you build them up, you believe in them, you encourage them. That is edification.
Yeah. And that's, that's something that you can begin to practice, because as you do that for other people, they will begin to do that for you. They'll say things like, wow, Mandy is just amazing, and I love how she just makes me feel so good, how she builds me up when I don't always feel that way. And she shares that with other people. So I know that I have at least one person in the world who's going to promote my reputation in a right way. They're not going to tear me down. They're only going to say good things about me. And as you do that for other people, and you become known for that, for edifying other people, and just kind of applauding their strengths and applauding those things that make them wonderful, that's really, people are going to become attracted to you, because what you're saying is, you're saying, I'm safe. I'm a safe place for you to share. I'm a safe place for you to be yourself. You can be open with me, because I'm going to look for the best in you, and that's what I want to help shine.
Whereas if I said, oh, do you know what Luther did? Well, yeah, I mean, come on, why did he do that? If I'm talking to my friends, my girlfriends, and I'm complaining about my husband, about what he didn't do, and that he forgot to take the trash out, and he never helps with the dishes, and he never does any of that, how do you think he's gonna feel?
Yeah.
Okay, what is that gonna do within our relationship? Is that gonna bring it to the place I want it to go to? Or is that actually gonna take it opposite? Okay, so you can kind of see how edification, actually, he's amazing with dishes, just so y'all know. You can see how edification builds up a person, helps them to believe in themselves. We have enough doubt we're going through in our own head. We don't need people to keep adding to that, okay? We all have our own thoughts that we have to work through consistently, okay? We don't want to continue to make that harder on somebody else, okay? So building up people, pulling out their value, thanking them and appreciating them for what they have done, where, how far they've come in life, seeing the road they've had to walk, the pain they've had to walk through.
Yeah. This is a really good skill to do with your children as well.
Yeah.
We tend to travel quite frequently, and the last trip we went on, we had to leave our younger boys with our older girls, and we were kind of a little nervous, because normally we find somebody to either stay in the house or we send them somewhere. But the girls are old enough to where they can handle it, but it was the first time, and so we were like, how is this going to work? But one of the things we started doing was, especially with the boys, was edifying them. Hey, I really liked it when you step up and when you help out around the house, and just praising them for the positive things that they do, instead of, okay, go do this, go do that, and why didn't you get this done, and you should know better. Just praising them. And what we saw was our oldest son, he stepped up so amazingly while we were gone.
All the kids did, actually.
Yeah, they all did, but yeah. he was kind of the standout in that, because he's normally the one that we have to remind to do this, and it's, even when we came back, that behavior has continued. And so now it's like, I think we're onto something here. I think this edification thing works.
Yeah.
When people feel good about their characteristics and about how they present themselves to other people, and they know that there's something about them that you find pleasing, or you appreciate about them, they're going to put their best foot forward more often than not.
Yeah, we were, speaking of traveling, there was one time we were on a plane, and my heart broke for a mom. A mom and a dad were sitting, I believe it was the row in front of us. It might have been 2 rows. I think it was the row in front of us on the plane. And the little girl was crying, and the mom was like, she was so mean. It was heartbreaking to watch this little girl. and she would scream to get her parents' attention, and the mom couldn't get her daughter to stop like being loud. I guess she was being loud. I didn't think she was being that loud, but the mom was saying, nobody wants to hear you, quit, no, stop that, nobody wants to hear you. And the daughter was just like, I mean, she was 3, maybe 4, and the daughter was just crying, and then she would tell her mom, shut up, you know, and the daughter was starting to talk to her mom the same way the mom was talking to the daughter. The mom couldn't see this because here I'm outside eyes looking in. So the mom's yelling to the daughter, and now I got the daughter yelling back to the mom, and they're doing this, okay? So exactly, the mom is reaping what she is sowing. She's planting seeds into her daughter. She's harvesting them back. So by even you becoming aware of these things, you're beginning to break that cycle that has happened. Maybe you've seen that cycle and that pattern. I've seen it a time or two. I'll know on my kids when I do that. I'm like, oh crap. And it's just learning to become aware is all it is. Learning to, and then creating a new pattern and a new cycle for your kids.
Yeah. It's very, very powerful. Just begin the practice of edifying others and edify yourself. If you've got a background and a history of just negative programming, maybe your parents said you were a mistake, your parents said you would never amount to anything, you've had business mistakes and people say you can never recover from that one. You know, what are you even doing in business? What are you even doing on this, whatever this venture is that you're trying to do? You got no business being here. All these negative voices, start replacing those with edification. No, I am a person of value. I do have something to contribute. I do belong here. And just because I failed in the past doesn't mean I can't succeed in the future. Start replacing these voices and change that programming.
That's really good. That's really good. So that's going to lead into your homework assignment. Your action step that we have for you is going to be a worksheet that's attached. You have some questions to journal through. I want you to begin to come with an open mind. Begin to ask yourself some real questions. You can't change anything until you begin to see where you're at. Sometimes we try not to see where we're at or see the truth, but sometimes you really have to be willing to humble yourself, recognize I'm not perfect. God, show me where I'm at so I can create a new future. Okay, we talked about that in the last video. Start with you. God, show me where I'm at. That relationship with yourself is going to be key, because you need to continue to build upon that. Okay, so go through those action steps, and then we will see you in part 3.